Sampurita pamita paramita balena Vidvansiyo kila kilesa Samola jalam Tenevalanda araham Arahoti namang Vandami buddha mamalam Hadayeta petvam Samanta cakkavalesu atra gaccantu devatam Sandhammang munirajassa sunantu sagga mokkadam Dhammasavana kalo ayam badanta Dhammasavana kalo ayam badanta Dhammasavana kalo ayam badanta Namo tansa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhansa Namo tansa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhansa Namo tansa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhansa Sile patintaya naro sapanyo Cintang panyanca bhavayam Atapi nipako bhikku soimang vijataye jatanti Dear friends in Dhamma, now today we are going to start our weekly Dhamma session, Dhamma class. After our meditation session, we usually start our Dhamma discussion. Here I hope to discuss a very special topic in Buddhism, and that is as the Trivida Siksha in Pali language. In English we can say it the three disciplines. Discipline means, the Siksha training. That according to Buddhism, on the way of purification, we have to practice three disciplines. That is very important thing. Every Buddhist doctrines can be included into these three things. That is very important. Can you remember what they are? What are the three disciplines? Can you remember? Sometimes we have explained. Wisdom is one of them. Good. That is the ultimate final discipline. There are the both things. The first thing is virtue. Second one is tranquility. And next one is wisdom. Virtue or moral conduct, and concentration or tranquility, and wisdom or intelligence. These are the three disciplines that Buddha has recommended to practice in the name of happiness for the purification. First one is the discipline in our speech and behavior. That is very important. Before we are going to develop our mental culture, first of all, we may have good discipline in our speech and behavior. If we have no discipline in our speech and behavior, it is extremely difficult to practice meditation. That is why Buddha has explained the importance of practicing good behavior at the very beginning of the path of purification. Okay. However, All Buddhist doctrines focus on getting rid of suffering and achieving the ultimate goal, which is Nibbana or enlightenment. Here, according to Buddhism, that I always explain it that the knowledge is very important. At the very beginning on the path of liberation, we may have clear knowledge, what we practice, where we are going to, what are the results that we achieve on the path of liberation. Therefore, knowledge is very important. With the knowledge, little by little, we go forward. On the other hand, Buddha has explained there are 4 things that we have to develop. There are 4 factors that we have to practice, we have to develop from beginning to end on the path of liberation. Those are very important. In Buddha's language, it says Sota Patti Anga. Those are the things that help us to achieve the steps of the enlightenment. There are 4 things. What they are? First one is Sappurisa Sansevo, association with a good friend or noble friend who explains the Buddha's real message. That is very important. In Buddha's period, usually people associated with noble friends, good friends. But in this period, we are so lucky. We should not only associate living persons, we can read some books, we can search some websites, we can watch some lessons or some videos in YouTube, and also we can listen into some CDs, we can watch some DVDs. Therefore, we are so lucky in this period. If we are intelligent, if we find the very important thing, there are opportunities, there are benefits, we have advantages, we have a lot of advantages, benefits. When we find what Buddha said, we can find from various places, various sources. That is very important. However, when we associate good friends, we also should have good qualities. If we don't have good qualities, human values, actually it is very difficult to find good friends. Because according to our characters, we meet the same persons. When we are going to low level in human values, we will meet the same persons. Little by little, when we grow up with good qualities, we can find the same quality people. That is very important. On the other hand, we should be intelligent to understand who they are good friends. Sometimes we can't understand. We mostly think when a person is well dressed and so attractive, they are the good friends. Actually, the real noble friends, they are not like that. They are very silent. They don't want to show their colors with their clothes or with their instruments. They don't want to show their colors. They are so silent, and that is why we should be intelligent. But the nature of the society, the people always, they think that good friends are so attractive, or they are well educated, they have a lot of degrees, they have a lot of facilities. Actually, it is not like that. For example, when as Buddhist monks, when we think about our life, actually, we met some persons who were good friends. Actually, they mostly were not attractive people. Sometimes, in the first view, sometimes they have blamed us. They are not, they were not very attractive, or they were not very pleasant. They are very common, they are normal. they don't want to show their colors. They are very natural. Therefore, some people are not interested in associating some people who are good friends. That is why we should have knowledge, and we should be sensitive about the good qualities. Sometimes people are unable to recognize good human values. That is a disadvantage in our life. Okay. However, associating with noble friends is very important in our spiritual path, because one day Reverend Ananda said, Reverend Ananda, Buddha's very close friend and disciple, Reverend Ananda, who took care of Buddha. And one day Reverend Ananda said, Bhante, the Lord Buddha, I think half of this dispensation of the Buddha Sasana, depends on the noble friends. Half of the dispensation of the Buddha, half of Buddha Sasana, depends on associating with good friends. But Buddha said, don't say Ananda like that, not half. Completely this dispensation of the Buddha Sasana depends on associating with good friends. One day, Reverend Sariputta, Buddha's one of the chief disciples, Reverend Sariputta, he said that, Bhante, the Lord Buddha, I think entire Buddha Sasana means Buddha's disciples, everything in Buddhism, it is Buddha Sasana. And Sariputta said that, Bhante, I think that entire dispensation of the Buddha depends on associating with good friends. Buddha said at that moment, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sariputta, you are correct. You are completely correct. Entire whole dispensation of the Buddha depends on associating with good friends. When we think about our spiritual path, we also have met some good friends. That is why we are here. Sometimes our mothers and fathers, they pointed out us the correct way. And sometimes our good teachers, sometimes our good friends, they pointed us the correct way, correct path. That is why we are in this path of liberation. For example, in my childhood, one of my friends, he invited me to come to the Sunday school. At the very beginning, I didn't go to the Sunday school. A friend of mine, one day he invited me, my friend, let's go to the Sunday school. And because of his invitation, I went to the Sunday school. When I was studying in Sunday school, the high priest in the temple, he invited me to become a monk. That is why I became the order of the Sangha. Therefore, actually not only for me, but in our all life, all of yours life is like that. It is very important. And the second thing is, sometimes when we meet some good friends, we talk some gossips or rubbish. We don't get the real result from the good friends. Actually, Buddha said, if you meet a good friend, discuss with him. That is the important thing. We know the intelligence of a person by discussing. Although we look at some people, although we understand their educational qualifications, we can't identify their intelligence, their wisdom. If somebody wants to understand a person's intelligence or wisdom, we have to talk with them. We have to do some discussions with them for understanding of their intelligence. That is why when we meet a person, if we think that that person is a virtuous person, then if we can talk with them, we can get something from them. One day Reverend Sariputta, before he became a monk, one day he met Reverend Assaji. Reverend Sariputta was a very special person in Buddha's Sasana. And before he became a monk, he met Arahant, enlightened one, Reverend Assaji. As soon as he met Reverend Assaji, he looked him and he was so happy with seeing his discipline. Sariputta said that, Bhante Assaji, your senses are very pleasant. Your behavior is very calm and quiet. I think you have some kind of spiritual qualities in your mind. That is why you are like this. If you know some special doctrines or some teachings, please explain me. I would like to ask what you know, what you practice. At that moment, Reverend Assaji explained. First of all, he said that, my dear friend, I became a monk in a very short time. I am a newcomer. I don't know a lot of things. I know only few things. I know a little. If you ask me, I would like to say what I know a little. Then Reverend Assaji explained what he knew. And actually, although he explained only one stanza, one verse, when Reverend Sariputta listening to that verse, Sariputta could attain the first level of enlightenment because he was so intelligent, because he had practiced a lot of good qualities, spiritual values in his previous lives. That is why he could attain the first level of enlightenment as soon as he listening to Reverend Assaji. However, I wanted to explain you that sometimes when we meet some people, we can recognize if we are also intelligent. Therefore, we should be very sensitive. We should be intelligent to recognize spiritual persons. That is very important. Sometimes, when I listening to some cassette piece, and actually it was so nice and it was a very special sermon. Actually, after I listening to that cassette, I went to a place finding that person who preached. Then actually that person is the best person that I have ever seen. That is why, for that we also should be very sensitive. Always we should find the real path, real doctrines. That is very important thing. The second thing is not only associating with good friends, we should pay our attention to what they say. That is also very important. Sometimes we meet some good people, but we don't get the real results, real benefits. If we like to get the real benefits, we have to talk with them. We have to pay our attention what they say. That is very important. Throughout them, we have to understand Buddha's real message. Therefore, by the name of Buddha's message, in this period, we can listen in a lot of talks, lot of sermons. But our life is very valuable. We should be intelligent that what is the real message that Buddha explained. Then, when we consider Buddha's message, the very important thing that Buddha explained, the path of liberation, how we get rid of suffering. That is the very special thing. There are some common doctrines in Buddhism such as karmic law, discipline. There are some things in Buddhism, precepts, it is common in other religions too. But the heart of Buddhism is the dependent origination, understanding of impermanence. That is the very important doctrine in Buddhism Therefore, we should be sensitive to understand the real message, what Buddha explained in the name of getting rid of suffering. First thing is association with a good friend. Second one is listening to Buddha's message through them. And third one, wise reflection. Not only listening to this message, but we should be sensitive to develop wise reflection. According to that sermon, we have to think it again and again in our day-to-day life. But people we can see mostly, they think Buddhism, they think qualities, they practice qualities when they in the holy places like the temples. But actually, when we listening to this message, the place where we practice this is not only in the temples, but everywhere we go, we live, they are the places that we can practice it. From the morning to the night, whenever we are awakened, wherever we live, that is the place we can practice it. If we are mindful, if we are aware of everything that we do, be sure then we are in Dhamma. We are practicing Dhamma. We are not alone. The thing is that we have to practice mindfulness. Anywhere, if we can practice mindfulness, be sure, be happy, you are getting rid of suffering because you are practicing Dhamma. You are living in Dhamma. Wise reflection is very important. Buddha said in his all sermons, we can find a lot of advices that he explained to the people, to the disciples, explaining the importance of practicing wise reflection. What is the wise reflection that Buddha mentioned? Meditation also one of the reflections, but not only meditation, but whatever we do, when we think something, not to come some evils to our mind, and the way that we can generate our spiritual energy, that is the reflection, wise reflection. Whatever we do, avoid evil, and whatever we do to develop good deeds in our life, that is wise reflection. Practicing mindfulness, practicing meditation, practicing intelligence, practicing good karmas, purifying our mind, everything that we do includes in wise reflection. For example, when somebody blames you, if you think that person has a mistake in his mind, he is a lunatic person, that is also one of the reflection that you think. When somebody who is a lunatic person, when he blames you, we never get angry. That is also one of the wise reflections that we can practice. On the other hand, especially, we mostly suffer because of anger. That is why Buddha has explained at the very beginning of the path of liberation, we have to practice mindfulness. As soon as you look at a person, if you have an attitude that person is like your only son, actually we can overcome a lot of defilements, a lot of problems in our mind. Therefore, we mostly suffer because of anger. Day by day, we should try to reduce our anger, ill will, hatred. And if we don't practice mindfulness, it means we don't practice doctrines which goes to become enlightenment or liberation. Fourth one, practicing what Buddha said. How do we practice? These three things, three disciplines. This is the practice that we can do. Virtue, concentration and wisdom. These are the things that we practice in our day-to-day life. One day, a divine person came to Buddha and asked, Bhante, everywhere we can see the problems. Not only human beings, but even in the divine persons. They have some problems in their mind. There are tangles in their mind. They have problems. How do we overcome these problems among human beings and divine persons? Buddha said, very short advice. That is the verse, that is the stanza that I got in first. Sile patittahaya naro sapanyo chittang panyancha bhavayam atapi nipako bhikkhu so iman vijate jatam. If a person is wise and also that person practice mindfulness and wisdom, this is the path. This is the path how we get rid of problems. First of all, the person who wishes to attain enlightenment should be intelligent. That is very important. Intelligence means at the very beginning we should have some kind of intelligence. It is not the ultimate wisdom, but however, we should have some kind of intelligence in our life. And also, sile patittaya, first of all, we should be in discipline in our speech and behavior. And then, chittang panyancha bhavayam, you practice, you train your mind and intelligence, mind and wisdom. This is the way how we get rid of problems in our life. We think that if we earn money, if we have good education, if we have a lot of facilities or properties, we can overcome problems. We mostly think. But even we are the owners of entire world. Our problems are not solved. Still we have problems. Problems come not from outside. Problems, issues, origin from our mind. Even though we have a lot of facilities, if we are angry, if we are jealous, then problem is here. Then if we can control our mind, even though we have a lot of facilities, actually we are happy. Although we are very rich and well educated, if our mind is polluted with bad ideas, then we have no peace in mind. That is why little by little we should try to practice this path. And when we consider Buddha's message, Buddha said the Eightfold Path. We mostly explain it. You have already known it. And that, first of all, as I mentioned before, first of all, we should know the world. We should understand about the world and ourselves. What happens to the world? Actually, one day Buddha explained, you have to think something again and again in your day-to-day life. What is that? Kammasakomhi kammadayado. Karmic law, karma or result of your previous actions is your relative. It is your dowry. It is your property. It is your friend. Whether you like or not, whether you believe or not, behind of your life there is a very big shadow. which is your karmic law, what you did in your past life, and also not only in your past lives, but whatever you do in this moment. That is also karmic law. When you are here, when you are listening to this message, your mind is very pure and calm. This is also one of the results of your actions. When you meditate, you can see the results. Your mind is very calm and quiet. When you practice generosity, when you offer something to others, your mind is very calm and quiet. You are so happy. It is not the previous karmic energy. It is the result of karma that you do in this moment. That is why people mostly think only their previous karmic law, karmic actions. But we should be intelligent to practice good deeds in this life and to get the result in this life itself. That is very important. In your day-to-day life, not only taking care of your friends and your relatives, your children, but if you can help other people. When other children are successful, you can be happy like your own children. When you think only your children, you are happy when only your children are successful. When you are friendly, when you are generous to help others, when other children are successful, you can be happy. Why don't we get this result in this life? Actually, if we are knowledgeable in Buddhism and also if we practice these qualities, we can see the result in this life. That is why Buddha said, practicing this message is immediately effective, visible results. Sanditthiko, akaliko. We can see the result in this life, not hereafter or next life. And this is the karmic law. On the other hand, understanding of impermanence. We always mention it. In Buddha's message, Buddha said one day, I explain to the world only two things. Although there are hundreds of discourses in Buddhism, Buddha said, I always explain only two things. What they are? Suffering and the way getting rid of suffering. On the other hand, he explained happiness and the way that leads to achieve happiness. Only two things. What is the suffering that Buddha explained? The close reason of suffering is attachment or desire or craving. But the main root of suffering is ignorance or delusion. We have attachment or desire because of ignorance. After experience we think still it is happening. That is why we have this attachment. After we see something, after we hear something, actually suddenly it ceases. But because of ignorance, whenever we think it, we think still it is happening. That is why we have attachment. If we can see this impermanence, actually automatically the desire or big attachment is overcome. And that is why Buddha always explains the importance of understanding of impermanence or dependent origination. When we have some kind of experience, listening something or looking something, hearing something, smelling something, actually that experience is in the present moment. It suddenly arises and ceases. That is the nature of our entire experience in our life. That is the nature of our all experience in our entire life. But when we think something, for example, if our close friend or relative dies, passes away, then suddenly we are suffering, we are sad. What is the reason of this thing? As soon as we remember, we hear this death, our mind goes to the past. Whatever he did, we think still it is happening. For example, if our mom dies, then as soon as we hear it, then we remember whatever she did us, how she was helping us, what she gave us, everything we imagine. Actually, that experience has ceased. We have nothing, if she gave something, everything is finished. But we create it again. Our mind goes to the past and our mind lives in the past experience. That is why we cry. We have no idea, we have no mindfulness that now I read my mind, read my memory. If we have full attention, full awareness, so mindfulness, now I am reading my mind about the past experience, we can remember anything. But we have no suffering. We don't get angry. We don't get suffering. Because we have full attention living in the present moment. That is why Arahants don't cry, don't hate. That is why they don't have big attachment. It doesn't sound that we don't do our duties or responsibilities. We do everything than other people do. We do everything. Some people who don't have this understanding, they do only food or some clothes or some material things. If we have this knowledge, we help others not only with physical material things, but we help them to improve their mind, their spiritual energy. We know very well that not only helping with material things, but if we can help them with spiritual things, that is very useful for them, not only this life, but also for the next life too. That is why we help others with spiritual things as well as material things. The second step of path is, understanding of impermanence. When we practice this path, we have to go one by one. But although there are 8 steps in this path, as much as we have right understanding, other things follow them. As much as we have right understanding, our mind is very pure. Then our speech is correct. Our actions are correct. Everything is going to good way. That is the nature of this understanding. That is why Buddha has explained, always try to improve your right understanding, right vision, correct view. As much as we have correct understanding, correct view, right understanding, we go forward on this path of liberation. How do we improve our right understanding? Yes, Buddha said, especially if a person would like to improve intelligence or right understanding, we have to listen into this message and we have to develop our wise reflection. With associating good friends, we have to do both things. Those are listening to this message, and according to this message, we have to reflect on it again and again in our day-to-day life. If we can think it again and again, be sure then we are live in Dhamma. We are living in Dhamma. Everywhere, wherever we go with Dhamma, like our shadow. If we are mindful, it means we are in Dhamma. Mindfulness is like our best friend. If we are not mindful, it means we have lost our best friend. It means suffering comes to us. If we are angry, if we have desire something, it means if we are jealous, if we have ill will, it means at that moment we have no mindfulness. If we have mindfulness, it means we are living in the present moment, sane impermanence. Then nobody can disturb our peace of mind. Nobody can steal our peace of mind. If somebody can steal our peace of mind, it means we are weak. We are not skillful. The reason is we have no mindfulness. Therefore, that is why always we should be mindful. When you laugh, it is okay, but you laugh with mindfulness. If you laugh without mindfulness, when somebody says something, you may cry very soon. Like you are laughing. That is why Buddha doesn't say that don't speak, don't laugh, do everything what you like. But we have to do it. We have to do everything with mindfulness. If we do something without mindfulness, it means when the environment is unpleasant or negative things, then we get angry. We are suffering. This eightfold path from right understanding to right concentration, these 8 steps can be included into 3. As we mentioned before, these 3 disciplines are in these 8 steps. And right understanding, first one and second one includes to, right wisdom, and other 3 things, right speech, action, livelihood, these 3 things include in virtue, and again, right effort, mindfulness and concentration are included into concentration. However, this starts from mindfulness, but be sure right concentration is not the end of the path. This is the only path. When we practice this path, we will have the results. There are other both steps. You can find right knowledge and right liberation. Samma jnana, samma vimukti. We will have other both steps as the result of practicing these 8 steps. First of all, it starts with wisdom, and also it ends again with wisdom. This is the nature of the path. From the beginning to end, we have to practice mindfulness again and again. And also we have to practice wisdom again and again. That is why Buddha said, although there are a lot of doctrines in Buddhism, finally we have to practice only these 3 things. Virtue, tranquility or concentration, and wisdom. When we are going to practice these 3 things, other 4 things are very useful for beneficial from the beginning to end. What are the 4 things? association with good friends, noble friends, listening to Buddha's message, sublime truth, and wise reflection and practice. Day by day, we have to develop these four things. Again and again, not only ordinary people, but there are some persons who are in some sort of steps in enlightenment. They also practice these four things. Not only people who are on the path, but there were some enlightened ones. They also have practiced these four things again. They also have discussed some sermons. Why they have discussed Dhamma after the enlightenment? After they enlighten? For the benefits of others, other people. There were some enlightened monks in Buddha's period. After they enlighten, further they have practiced more qualities, some rules. Why they have done like this? They always wanted to be an example for the next generation. That is why they have practiced it. Especially there was a special monk, Reverend Kashyapa. Reverend Kashyapa actually